Well, stop right there, because you've just stumbled across something special. A tale so full of romance, mystery, and unexpected twists that you're not going to want to click away. Picture this, a beautiful summer wedding, the kind you see in those viral TikTok videos, with fairy lights twinkling under a golden sunset, laughter filling the air, and love so thick you can feel it. But in the middle of all this picture-perfect joy, something's off. There's a woman, a witness at this wedding, standing quietly at the edge of the celebration, her eyes catching every detail. And then there's him, the groom's best man, the guy who's supposed to be cracking jokes and keeping the vibe light, but he can't stop staring at her. His gaze lingers just a little too long, and there's a spark in his eyes that says this isn't just a passing glance. What's going on here? Why can't he look away? And why does she seem to notice him too, even though they've never met before? If you're already curious, and I bet you are, stick with me, because I'm going to take you on a journey through a love story that's equal parts heartwarming and heart-wrenching, with a mystery that'll keep you guessing until the very end. You're here for answers, and I promise you, by the time this video is over, you'll get them. But first, let's set the scene and dive into the moment that changed everything for these two strangers at a wedding. Let me paint the picture for you, because I know you love a good story, and this one's got all the makings of a viral hit. Romance, drama, and a twist you won't see coming. Imagine a warm July evening in a small charming town somewhere in the Midwest, the kind of place where everyone knows each other, and weddings are the event of the season. The venue is a rustic barn, decked out with mason jar centerpieces, burlap table runners, and a dance floor that's already buzzing with guests. The bride is radiant, the groom is beaming, and the crowd is lost in the magic of the moment. But our story isn't about them. Not yet, anyway. It's about Emily, the witness, a woman in her late 20s with a quiet confidence that draws people in without her even trying. She's not here to steal the spotlight. She's just doing her part, signing the marriage certificate, smiling for photos, and blending into the background. Emily's the kind of person you might not notice at first, but once you do, you can't look away. Her dark hair falls in soft waves, and there's a warmth in her hazel eyes that hints at a story she's not telling. She's not here looking for love. She's got her own life, her own dreams, and maybe a few scars from a past she doesn't talk about. But something about this wedding feels different, like the universe is nudging her towards something she didn't expect. And then there's Jake, the best man, the guy who's got everyone laughing with his quick wit and easy charm. He's tall, with a smile that could light up a room, but tonight, his attention is elsewhere. Every time Emily moves, his eyes follow. It's not just curiosity. It's something deeper, something that makes his heart skip a beat and his carefully planned best man speech falter. You're probably wondering, what's the deal with these two? Are they connected somehow? Is this love at first sight, or is there a secret waiting to unravel? I'm getting to that, I promise, but you've got to stay with me, because this story is about to take you on an emotional roller coaster. Now, let's talk to you directly, because I know why you're here. You're not just watching this video to pass the time. You're here because you love a good love story, one that makes you feel something real. Maybe you've been to a wedding where you felt that spark, that moment when your eyes locked with someone across the room and the world seemed to slow down. Or maybe you're a hopeless romantic, chasing that feeling of butterflies in your stomach, hoping for a story that reminds you love is still out there. Well, this video is for you. I'm not just telling you a story. I'm inviting you into it, making you a part of this wedding, this moment, this mystery. You're going to feel like you're standing right there with Emily and Jake, watching their every move, catching every glance, and piecing together the clues. And here's my promise to you. If you stick with me through this video, you're going to get the answers you're looking for. You'll find out why Jake couldn't look away, what Emily was hiding, and how one fleeting moment at a wedding turned into something so much bigger. But I'm not going to spoil it yet. Oh no, we're just getting started. Let's talk about what makes this story so special, because it's not just about two people locking eyes. It's about fate, second chances, and the kind of love that hits you when you least expect it. So grab a snack, get comfy, and let's dive deeper into this wedding that's about to change everything. Let's take a step back and talk about Emily for a moment, because she's the heart of this story, and I know you're already wondering who she is. Emily's not your typical rom-com heroine. She's real, flawed, and carrying a weight she doesn't let anyone see. She's the kind of person who shows up for her friends, who's always there with a smile, but deep down, she's been through some stuff. Maybe it's a heartbreak that left her guarded, or maybe it's a dream she gave up on long ago. Whatever it is, She's not here at this wedding expecting anything more than a nice evening and a chance to celebrate her friend's big day. But when she catches Jake staring, something shifts. It's not just that he's handsome though, let's be real, he totally is. It's the way he looks at her, like he's seeing something no one else does. And for the first time in a long time, Emily feels seen. Now, let's talk about Jake. He's the guy everyone loves. Funny, loyal, the life of the party. But tonight, he's distracted. His best friend is getting married, and he's supposed to be focused on delivering the perfect toast, but his mind keeps drifting to Emily. There's something about her that he can't shake, something that feels like it's pulling him toward her, even though they've never spoken a word. Is it just a crush, or is there something more? Something from their past, maybe, that neither of them wants to admit? I know you're dying to know, and I'm going to give you the answers, but first, let's talk about why this moment matters. This isn't just a story about two people at a wedding. It's about the choices we make, the risks we take, and the moments that change our lives forever. You've felt that, haven't you? That one moment when you knew something big was about to happen, even if you couldn't explain why? That's what Emily and Jake are feeling right now, and you're going to feel it too. Okay, let's set the atmosphere, because I want you to feel like you're right there at this wedding, soaking in every detail. The barn is alive with music. A mix of classic love songs and upbeat dance tracks that have everyone on their feet. The air smells like fresh flowers and warm summer grass, and the golden light from the setting sun casts a dreamy glow over everything. Guests are laughing, clinking glasses, and sharing stories. But there's an undercurrent of something else, something electric. Emily's standing near the dessert table, holding a glass of champagne she hasn't touched, her eyes scanning the crowd. She's not looking for anyone in particular, or so she tells herself, but when her gaze meets Jake's, it's like the room goes quiet. He's across the barn, standing with the groom and a few other guys. But his attention is locked on her. For a moment, it's just the two of them, the rest of the world fading away. You know that feeling, don't you? When time slows down, and it's just you and someone else, and you can't explain why your heart's pounding. That's what's happening here. And it's only the beginning. But here's the thing. There's a secret lurking in the background, something neither of them knows yet, but it's going to turn this moment upside down. I'm not going to tell you what it is just yet, because I want you to feel the anticipation, the curiosity, the need to know more. You're invested now, aren't you? You're wondering what's going to happen next, and I promise you, it's worth sticking around for. Let's talk about the stakes, because this isn't just a cute meet cute, it's a story about love, risk, and the courage to follow your heart. Now, I know what you're thinking. Come on, just tell me what happens. But here's the deal. I want you to experience this story the way Emily and Jake did, moment by moment, heartbeat by heartbeat. You're not just watching a video. You're living this with them. You're feeling the butterflies, the uncertainty, the hope. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret. This story isn't just about them. It's about you too. It's about those times in your life when you took a chance, when you followed a feeling, when you looked at someone and thought, what if? Maybe you're thinking about that right now. Someone you met, a moment you can't forget, a choice you wish you'd made. That's why you're going to love this story, because it's going to remind you of what it feels like to be alive, to be vulnerable, to be on the edge of something big. Emily and Jake are about to take that leap, but there's a catch. Something neither of them saw coming. There's a reason Jake can't look away, and it's not just because Emily's beautiful. There's a reason Emily feels drawn to him, even though she's sworn off love. And when you find out what it is, your jaw's going to hit the floor. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's slow down and talk about the wedding, because something's about to happen that's going to change everything. As the night goes on, the wedding gets livelier. The DJ's playing a slow song now, and couples are swaying on the dance floor, lost in their own little worlds. Emily's still at the edge of the crowd, watching, but she's starting to feel restless. She's not sure why, but her heart's beating a little faster, like she's waiting for something. Jake's still with the groom, but he's not laughing anymore. He's watching Emily, and there's a question in his eyes, a question he's not sure he's ready to ask. The tension between them is building, and you can feel it, can't you? It's like the air before a storm, heavy with possibility. You're probably wondering what's going to happen next. Will they talk? Will they dance? Will they ignore this feeling and go their separate ways? I know you want answers, and I'm going to give them to you, but you've got to trust me and stick with this story. Because right now, something's about to happen that's going to flip this wedding upside down. A single moment, a single choice, is going to set off a chain of events that neither Emily nor Jake could have predicted. And when it does, you're going to be so glad you stayed. So, what happens when Emily finally looks back at Jake, and their eyes meet again? What happens when the music stops, and a voice from the past steps into the light? Hold on tight, because this love story is about to take a turn you'll never forget. Alright, you're still here, and I'm so glad you're sticking with this love story that's dripping with wedding drama, romance, and a mystery that's only getting deeper. Let's pick up right where we left off, with Emily and Jake locked in that electric moment at the wedding, their eyes meeting across a crowded barn as the music fades and something, or someone, from the past is about to step into the spotlight. You're probably feeling that tingle of anticipation, wondering what's going to happen next, and I promise you, this is where things start to get even juicier. We're going to dive into who Emily and Jake really are, peel back the layers of their lives, and introduce a few new faces that are going to complicate this tale in ways you won't see coming. But don't worry, I'm not going to spill all the secrets just yet. This is about keeping you hooked, making you feel like you're right there at this wedding, watching every glance, every hesitation, every heartbeat. You're part of this story now, and I'm talking directly to you because I know you're craving a tale that's equal parts heartwarming and heart-pounding. So let's step back into this rustic barn, under the glow of fairy lights, and unravel a little more of this emotional roller coaster, with just enough mystery to keep you guessing. As the slow song ends and the DJ transitions to something upbeat, the crowd erupts into cheers, but Emily barely notices. Her heart's still racing from that moment when her eyes met Jake's, and she's trying to shake it off, telling herself it's nothing. Just a fleeting glance, a trick of the light, or maybe too much champagne, even though her glass is still untouched. Emily's not the type to get swept away by a stranger's stare. She's practical, grounded, the kind of woman who's learned to keep her guard up after life threw her a few curveballs. A few years ago she was engaged, dreaming of her own wedding, but that's a story she keeps buried, tucked away like an old photograph she doesn't look at anymore. She moved to this small Midwest town to start fresh, taking a job as a high school English teacher, pouring her heart into her students and her quiet evenings with a good book. But tonight, standing in this barn, surrounded by love and celebration, she feels a pull she can't explain. Jake's gaze wasn't just curious, it was searching, like he was looking for something in her, something she's not sure she's ready to give. She steals another glance at him, and he's still there, talking to the groom but clearly distracted, his eyes flicking back to her every few seconds. You know that feeling, don't you? When someone's attention makes you feel exposed, like they can see right through the walls you've built. That's what Emily's wrestling with right now, and it's stirring up memories she thought she'd left behind. But before she can decide whether to approach him or slip out to the parking lot for some air, someone else catches her eye. A woman in a deep blue dress, standing near the bar, watching Emily with an intensity that feels almost personal. Who is she, and why does she seem so familiar? You're probably wondering the same thing, and I'm going to give you a hint. This woman's about to add a whole new layer of drama to this wedding. Meanwhile, Jake's trying to keep it together, but he's failing miserably. He's supposed to be the best man, the guy who keeps the groom calm and the party going, but his mind's a million miles away. Jake's no stranger to weddings. He's been the best man 3 times in the last 2 years, always ready with a witty speech and a knack for charming the crowd. He's a graphic designer from Chicago, the kind of guy who's got a laid-back vibe but a sharp mind, always sketching ideas in his notebook or cracking jokes to hide the fact that he's still figuring out what he wants from life. He's not looking for love, at least, that's what he tells himself. After a string of relationships that crashed and burned, he's convinced he's better off focusing on his career.
And his friendships. But when he saw Emily across the barn, something clicked, like a puzzle piece he didn't know he was missing. It's not just that she's beautiful, though she absolutely is, with her warm smile and the way she carries herself like she's holding a secret. It's something else, something that feels like a memory he can't quite place. Maybe it's the way she tilted her head when she laughed, or the way her eyes seem to hold a story he wants to hear. Jake's not the type to believe in fate, but tonight, he's questioning everything. And just when he's about to muster the courage to walk over and introduce himself, he notices the woman in the blue dress too. She's not just watching Emily. She's watching him, and there's a flicker of recognition in her eyes that sends a chill down his spine. You're feeling it too, aren't you? That sense that something big is about to happen, that this wedding isn't just a celebration, but a turning point. Stick with me because this mystery is about to get a lot more complicated. Let's introduce a new perspective, because this story isn't just about Emily and Jake. It's about the web of connections that tie people together, even when they don't realize it. Meet Sarah, the woman in the blue dress, who's been hovering at the edges of this wedding like a shadow. Sarah's not a guest you'd notice right away. She's quiet, almost too quiet, blending into the crowd with a practiced ease. She's the bride's cousin, here out of obligation more than excitement, but there's something about this wedding that's got her on edge. Sarah's got her own history, a past she doesn't talk about, filled with choices she regrets and promises she couldn't keep. She's not here to cause trouble. At least, that's what she tells herself. But when she sees Emily and Jake stealing glances at each other, it stirs something in her, something she thought she'd buried years ago. Sarah knows Emily, or at least she used to, back when they were in college together, before life pulled them in different directions. They weren't close, but there was a moment, a single, fleeting moment, that connected them, and Sarah's never forgotten it. As for Jake, she's not sure why he looks familiar, but there's a nagging feeling in the pit of her stomach that says he's more than just a random best man. You're probably starting to piece things together, wondering how Sarah fits into this love story, and I love that you're thinking about it because that's exactly what I want you to do. This isn't just a romance, it's a puzzle, and every glance, every memory, every secret is a piece you're going to want to fit together. Sarah's presence is no accident, and what she does next is going to send ripples through this wedding that no one's ready for. Now, let's zoom out a bit and talk about the bigger picture, because this wedding isn't just a backdrop, it's a character in its own right, full of energy and secrets. The barn is buzzing with life, but there's an undercurrent of tension, like everyone's waiting for something to happen. The bride, Lily, is blissfully unaware, dancing with her new husband, Tom, who's Jake's best friend. Lily's the kind of person who lights up a room, and Tom's the steady, dependable guy who's been head over heels for her since high school. Their love story seems perfect, the kind of fairy tale romance you'd see in a viral YouTube video, but even they have their own little dramas simmering beneath the surface. Lily's been so caught up in wedding planning that she hasn't noticed the way Tom's been quieter than usual, or the way he keeps glancing at Jake, like he's waiting for him to say something. Tom knows Jake better than anyone, and he can tell his best man's distracted, but he's got no idea why. And then there's the maid of honor, Mia, who's been flitting around the wedding, making sure everything's perfect but also keeping an eye on Sarah. Mia's got a sharp intuition, and she's picking up on the same strange vibes you are. She doesn't know Sarah well, but she's heard whispers about her past, rumors of a scandal that no one talks about openly. You're probably wondering how all these people are connected, and I'm going to give you a little tease. There's a thread that ties Emily, Jake, Sarah, and even Lily and Tom together, a thread that goes back years, to a moment none of them fully understand yet. You're invested now, aren't you? You're feeling the same pull they are, the need to know what's going to happen next. As the night deepens, the wedding takes on a dreamlike quality, with the fairy lights casting long shadows and the music weaving a spell over the guests. Emily's trying to focus on her role as the witness, but she can't shake the feeling that something's about to shift. She catches Jake's eye again, and this time, he doesn't look away. He starts to move toward her, weaving through the crowd, his heart pounding with a mix of nerves and excitement. But before he can reach her, Sarah steps into his path, her smile tight and her eyes sharp. "Jake, right?" she says, her voice smooth but laced with something that makes him pause. He nods, confused, because he's never met her before, or has he? There's something about her voice, her posture, that feels like a memory he can't grasp. Emily watches from a distance, her breath catching as she sees the exchange, and suddenly, she's not sure what she's feeling, jealousy, curiosity, or something else entirely. You know that moment when you sense a storm coming, even though the sky's still clear? That's where we are right now, on the edge of something big, something that's going to change everything for Emily, Jake, and Sarah. What does Sarah know, and why does she seem so determined to keep Jake and Emily apart? What's the secret that's been buried all these years, and how is it about to come crashing into this perfect wedding? I know you're dying to find out, and I'm not going to leave you hanging forever, but you've got to stay with me, because the next moment is going to hit like a thunderbolt, and you won't believe what happens when the truth starts to come out. You're still with me, and I can feel your excitement building as we dive deeper into this love story that's packed with wedding drama, romance, and a mystery that's about to take a wild turn. We left off with Jake moving toward Emily, his heart pounding, only to be intercepted by Sarah, the woman in the blue dress, whose cryptic words and sharp gaze hint at a secret that could unravel everything. The air in that rustic barn is thick with anticipation, the fairy lights casting a glow that feels both magical and ominous, and you're probably on the edge of your seat, wondering what's going to happen next. I'm talking directly to you because I know you're hooked. You're feeling the same pull that Emily and Jake are, that sense that something massive is about to break wide open. This isn't just a story about a wedding. It's about love, betrayal, and the kind of unexpected twist that'll make your jaw drop. We're going to crank up the stakes, introduce a shock that no one saw coming, and weave in more layers to the subplots involving Sarah, Lily, Tom, and Mia, all while keeping you guessing. So, let's step back into this electric moment where every glance and every word is a step closer to a truth that's going to change everything. Grab your popcorn, because this love story is about to hit you with a curveball you'll be talking about for days. Emily's standing frozen, her champagne glass still untouched, as she watches Sarah and Jake from across the barn. Her heart's doing somersaults.
And she's not sure why. Maybe it's the way Jake's eyes keep finding hers, or maybe it's the way Sarah's presence feels like a storm cloud rolling in. Emily's no stranger to guarding her heart. After her broken engagement years ago, she built walls higher than the barn's rafters, promising herself she'd never let anyone in again. But tonight, those walls are crumbling, and Jake's gaze is like a hammer chipping away at them. She's trying to focus on her role as the witness, smiling for the bride, Lily, and keeping her emotions in check, but Sarah's sudden move toward Jake has her rattled. There's something about Sarah, her sharp eyes, her too-perfect smile, that stirs a memory Emily can't quite grasp. They knew each other in college, back when Emily was a dreamer who believed in forever, but there was a falling out, a moment that left Emily reeling, and she's never quite shaken it. Was it a betrayal? A misunderstanding? She can't remember the details, but seeing Sarah now, talking to Jake like she owns the moment, makes Emily's stomach twist. And then, just as she's about to turn away, something catches her eye. A small, silver locket dangling from Sarah's neck, glinting under the fairy lights. Emily's breath catches, because she's seen that locket before, years ago, in a moment tied to her own past heartbreak. You're feeling it too, aren't you? That sinking realization that there's more to this wedding than meets the eye, that the pieces of this puzzle are starting to form a picture you didn't expect. But hold on, because things are about to get even more intense. Jake, meanwhile, is caught off guard by Sarah's interruption, his mind still half on Emily, half on the speech he's supposed to give in 10 minutes. Sarah's voice is calm, almost too calm as she says, "You don't remember me, do you?" Jake blinks, searching her face for a clue, but there's nothing. Just a vague sense that he's missing something big. He's about to brush it off, make a joke like he always does, when Sarah leans in closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. "You were there that night, Jake. The night everything changed." His smile fades, and a chill runs through him, because suddenly, a memory flickers, a rainy night, a crowded bar, a conversation he's tried to forget. But how does Sarah know about it? And what does it have to do with Emily? Before he can ask, Sarah's gone, slipping back into the crowd like a ghost, leaving Jake standing there, his heart racing. He looks back at Emily, who's now watching him with a mix of curiosity and something else. Fear, maybe? He wants to go to her to ask what's going on, but the DJ's calling for the best man's speech, and the crowd's turning toward him, expecting the charming, funny Jake they all know. You know that moment when you feel like the ground's shifting under you, but you have to keep smiling? That's where Jake is right now, and it's only going to get crazier. Because as he steps up to the microphone, ready to toast his best friend Tom and the bride, Lily, he sees something that stops him cold. A man standing at the back of the barn, half hidden in the shadows, staring straight at Emily. Who is he, and why does his presence feel like a bomb about to go off? You're dying to know, and I promise we're getting there. But this twist is just the beginning. Let's pull back and check in on Sarah, because her role in this wedding drama is about to take a sharp turn. Sarah's been keeping her distance, watching Emily and Jake like a hawk, but she's not just a bystander. She's a player in this game, and she's holding cards no one else knows about. That silver locket around her neck? It's not just jewelry. It's a key to a secret she's carried for years, one that ties her to Emily and, unbeknownst to her, to Jake too. Back in college, Sarah was the friend who always seemed to have it together. Popular, confident, the life of every party. But there was a night, one she doesn't talk about, when she made a choice that cost her more than she ever admitted. It involved Emily, a betrayal that shattered their friendship, and a promise Sarah broke without fully understanding the consequences. Now, seeing Emily at this wedding, looking at Jake with that spark in her eyes, Sarah feels a mix of guilt and something darker. Jealousy, maybe, or fear that the past is about to catch up with her. And Jake? She's not sure how he fits in, but that night in the bar years ago, she saw him there, caught in a moment that wasn't his to own. She's not ready to confront him yet, but when she saw him moving toward Emily, she couldn't help herself. She had to step in, to slow things down, to keep the truth buried a little longer. But that man in the shadows, the one Jake just noticed? Sarah sees him too, and her blood runs cold, because he's not supposed to be here. He's a ghost from her past, someone tied to that same night, and his presence at this wedding is no coincidence. You're probably piecing it together now, feeling the weight of this mystery, and I love that you're as invested as I am. This isn't just a love story anymore. It's a web of secrets, and every thread is pulling tighter. Over on the dance floor, Lily and Tom are still wrapped up in their newlywed glow, but even they're starting to sense the tension. Lily's laughing, twirling in her white dress, but she's noticed Tom's been quieter tonight, his smile's a little forced. Tom's always been the rock in their relationship, the one who keeps things steady, but tonight, he's distracted, and it's not just because of the wedding. He's been carrying a secret of his own, something he hasn't even told Jake, his best friend since high school. It's about that night Sarah mentioned, the one Jake's starting to remember, the one that's somehow tied to Emily and Sarah and now this stranger in the shadows. Tom doesn't know all the details, but he knows enough to feel uneasy, and when he sees Jake falter at the microphone, his eyes locked on the back of the barn, Tom's gut twists. He follows Jake's gaze and sees the man too, a tall figure, his face half hidden, but there's something about him that feels familiar, like a name on the tip of Tom's tongue. Lily, oblivious to the undercurrents, pulls Tom back to the dance floor, but Mia, the maid of honor, isn't so easily distracted. She's been watching Sarah all night, picking up on her nervous glances, her too quick smiles, and now she's noticing the man in the shadows too. Mia's no stranger to drama. She's the one who always knows the gossip, the one who can read a room like a book. But this feels different, bigger, like a storm that's been brewing for years. You're feeling that storm too, aren't you? That sense that all these people, Emily, Jake, Sarah, Tom, Lily, Mia, and this mysterious stranger, are connected by something they can't escape, something that's about to explode right here at this wedding. As Jake starts his speech, his voice steady but his mind racing, the barn seems to hold its breath. He's talking about love, about Tom and Lily, about the kind of bond that lasts a lifetime, but his eyes keep drifting to Emily, then to the man in the shadows, then back to Sarah, who's now standing near the bar, her fingers clutching that locket like it's a lifeline. Emily's watching him, her heart pounding, and she's starting to wonder if she's made a mistake coming to this wedding. The locket, Sarah's words, the stranger in the shadows, it's all too much, and she feels like she's standing on the edge of a cliff. And then, just as Jake's speech hits its peak, the man in the shadows steps forward, his face catching the light. And a gasp ripples through the crowd. Emily's glass slips from her hand, shattering on the floor, because she knows that face. It's the man who broke her heart all those years ago, the one she thought she'd never see again. Jake freezes, his speech forgotten, because he knows him too, and so does Sarah. The barn, once alive with laughter and music, is now a pressure cooker, and every eye is on this man who's just walked into the heart of the wedding. Who is he and what does he want? Why is he here? And how does he connect to Emily, Jake, and Sarah? You're on the edge of your seat now, and I'm not going to wrap this up yet, because this unexpected twist is just the spark that's going to set this love story ablaze. Stick with me because what happens next is going to change everything, and you won't believe how this wedding night ends. You're still right here with me, and I can feel your heart racing as we barrel toward the climax of this love story that's been brimming with wedding drama, romance, and a mystery that's kept you glued to every word. We left off with the barn frozen in a moment of shock, Emily's champagne glass shattered on the floor, and all eyes on the mysterious man who stepped out of the shadows. A face from the past that Emily, Jake, and Sarah all recognize, tying them together in a way that's about to explode. You're probably buzzing with questions. Who is this guy? How does he connect to Emily's heartbreak, Jake's forgotten night, and Sarah's cryptic locket? I'm talking straight to you because I know you've been riding this emotional roller coaster, feeling every glance, every secret, and every heartbeat right alongside these characters. This isn't just a story, it's a journey about love, redemption, and the kind of unexpected twist that'll leave you speechless. We're going to unravel the truth, tie up the subplots, and hit you with one final shock that'll make this wedding night unforgettable. So let's dive back into this rustic barn, under the flickering fairy lights, and bring this epic love story to a close that'll have you hitting the like button and sharing it with everyone you know. The man in the shadows steps fully into the light, and the barn seems to hold its breath as his face becomes clear. His name is Daniel, and to Emily, he's the ghost of her past. The man who proposed to her 5 years ago, only to vanish without a word, leaving her with a broken heart and a locket identical to the one Sarah's wearing now. Emily's knees buckle and she grips the edge of a table to steady herself, her mind reeling as memories flood back. Late-night talks, promises of forever, and the night Daniel disappeared, leaving her with nothing but that silver locket and a note that said, "I'm sorry." Jake, still at the microphone, feels his chest tighten because he knows Daniel too. Not as a friend, but as the guy from that rainy night in a Chicago bar, the night Jake overheard a conversation he wasn't supposed to, a moment that's haunted him ever since. Sarah's hand trembles around her locket, her eyes locked on Daniel, because he's the reason she betrayed Emily all those years ago, the reason she's been carrying guilt like a weight on her chest. The crowd is murmuring now, sensing the tension, but Lily and Tom are frozen on the dance floor. Their perfect wedding suddenly a stage for a drama they didn't expect. Mia, the maid of honor, is piecing things together, her sharp instincts kicking into overdrive as she watches Sarah's face pale. You're feeling the weight of this moment, aren't you? That electric charge when the past crashes into the present, and everything you thought you knew starts to shift. But this is just the beginning of the climax, because Daniel's not here to reminisce. He's here to reveal a truth that's going to change everything for Emily, Jake, and Sarah. Daniel raises a hand, his voice cutting through the murmurs like a knife. "I didn't come to ruin this wedding," he says, his eyes moving from Emily to Jake to Sarah, "but I can't let this night end without setting things right." Emily's heart pounds, and she steps forward, her voice shaking but firm. "Why are you here, Daniel? After all this time, why now?" Jake sets the microphone down, his speech forgotten, and moves closer to Emily, instinctively protective, though he's still grappling with his own memories of that night. Sarah's frozen, her fingers clutching the locket so tightly her knuckles are white, because she knows what's coming, and she's not ready for it. Daniel takes a deep breath, and the story spills out. A tale of love, mistakes, and a secret that's been buried for years. 5 years ago, Daniel and Emily were engaged, planning a life together, but Daniel was hiding something. He'd gotten involved in a business deal that went south, pulling him into a world of debt and danger he couldn't escape. He left Emily to protect her, or so he thought, but he didn't do it alone. Sarah, Emily's college friend, was there that night, caught up in the same mess, because she'd been secretly in love with Daniel too. She helped him disappear, betraying Emily in a moment of weakness, taking the locket he gave her as a promise he never kept. And Jake? He was there in that bar, overhearing Daniel's plan to vanish, not knowing Emily was the woman Daniel was leaving behind. Jake never told anyone, carrying the guilt of staying silent, not realizing until tonight that Emily was the one connected to that moment. You're probably reeling right now, just like I am, because this love story isn't just about Emily and Jake. It's about a tangled web of choices, regrets, and second chances that's finally coming undone. The barn is silent now, the music stopped, the fairy lights casting long shadows as Daniel's words hang in the air. Emily's eyes fill with tears, not just from the pain of Daniel's betrayal but from the realization that Sarah, her old friend, played a part in it. "You knew," Emily says, her voice breaking as she turns to Sarah. "You knew he was leaving, and you never told me." Sarah's face crumples, and she steps forward, her voice barely above a whisper. "I was in love with him, Emily. I thought I was saving him. I thought I was saving you." But the confession only deepens the wound, and Emily turns away, her gaze landing on Jake, who's been watching her with a tenderness that makes her heart ache. Jake steps closer, his voice low but steady. "I should have said something that night," he admits, his eyes locked on hers. "I didn't know it was you, Emily, but I knew someone was going to get hurt, and I did nothing. I'm not that guy anymore." There's a moment, a heartbeat, where it's just the two of them, and you can feel the spark between them, the kind of love that grows in the cracks of broken things. Lily and Tom, still on the dance floor, exchange a glance, because Tom's been carrying his own piece of this puzzle. He knew Daniel was trouble back then, but he never told Jake the full story, afraid it would drag them all down. Mia, ever the observer, steps forward, her voice cutting through the tension. Enough secrets, she says, looking at Sarah, then Daniel. This is Lily and Tom's day. Whatever this is, figure it out and let them have their moment. You're right there with them, aren't you? Feeling the weight of all these revelations, wondering how they're going to move forward from this. But we're not done yet, because there's one more twist that's going to flip this story on its head. As the crowd begins to murmur again, Daniel reaches into his pocket and pulls out a small worn envelope, handing it to Emily. This is why I came back, he says, his voice heavy. I wrote this the night I left, but I never had the courage to send it. Emily's hands tremble as she opens it, revealing a letter that lays bare Daniel's regrets, his love for her, and a shocking truth. The locket Sarah's wearing isn't just a keepsake. It holds a tiny key, one that unlocks a safety deposit box containing evidence that could clear Daniel's name and expose the people who forced him to run. Sarah gasps, her hand flying to the locket, because she never knew what it held. She thought it was just a symbol of Daniel's empty promise. Jake's mind races, because he remembers something else from that night in the bar. A name, a face, someone connected to Daniel's disappearance who's still out there, watching, waiting. And that's when the final twist hits. The man in the shadows wasn't just Daniel. There's another figure unnoticed until now, slipping out the barn door. A woman, her face obscured, but her presence sends a chill through Mia, who's been watching the edges of the crowd. Mia whispers to Tom. That's her. The one from the stories. It's the woman who orchestrated Daniel's downfall, the one who's been pulling strings from the shadows, and her appearance at this wedding means the danger isn't over. Emily clutches the letter, her eyes meeting Jake's, and in that moment, they both know they're not just fighting for love, they're fighting for closure, for truth, for a chance to rewrite their story. You're stunned, aren't you? This love story just turned into a thriller, and you didn't see it coming. The resolution comes swiftly, but it's not without heart. Emily takes a deep breath, looking at Daniel, then Sarah, and finally Jake. I'm done living in the past, she says, her voice steady now. Daniel, I forgive you, but I don't need you anymore. Sarah, I hope you find peace, but I can't be part of it. She turns to Jake, a small smile breaking through her tears. And you, I don't know what this is, but I want to find out. Jake takes her hand, his own heart pounding, and for the first time all night, he feels like he's exactly where he's supposed to be. The crowd, sensing the shift, erupts into applause, not just for Lily and Tom, but for Emily and Jake, for the courage to choose love over pain. Sarah slips the locket off her neck, handing it to Daniel with a nod, a silent acknowledgement that she's letting go too. Tom pulls Lily close, whispering that he'll tell her everything later, and Mia, ever the fixer, starts ushering guests back to the dance floor, determined to salvage the wedding's joy. But as the music starts again, Emily and Jake step outside, the letter still in her hand, the key glinting in the moonlight. They know the woman in the shadows is out there, and the truth in that safety deposit box could change everything. But for now they're together, and that's enough. The takeaway? Love isn't just about the spark. It's about facing the past, choosing forgiveness, and taking a leap into the unknown. You're feeling it, right? That mix of awe and hope, knowing Emily and Jake have a long road ahead, but they're ready for it. And that final twist, the woman who's still out there, leaves you wondering what's next, because this love story isn't over, it's just beginning.